advocating over there for her?
East Chicago Common Council regular meeting for February 22nd, 2021 is being called to order. May we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is Pastor Johnny Bonilla in the house? No. Okay. James, would you do us the honors again? I'm sorry.
Good evening. Father, we thank you again for all your blessings that you give us, Lord, for helping us, for protecting us in the midst of these times. We thank you, Lord, for the men and women that you have, put before us to lead us. We ask you that you give them wisdom and that everything that is spoken today as well may be pleasing in your eyes. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, amen. Roll call.
First District Councilwoman Monica Gonzalez.
Here.
Second District Councilman Lenny Francisci.
Here.
Third District Councilman Terrence Hill.
Here.
Fourth District Councilwoman Stacy Winfield.
President.
Fifth District Councilman Robert Garcia.
Present.
Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange.
Present.
I think she's DC. Yeah, she just. Stand by, she disconnected. Vivian, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Lisa got disconnected?
No, she's
Oh,
here.
she's there.
Yeah, she's here.
Okay.
She's just muted, that's all. Because there was a lot of feedback.
Right.
We continue with roll call.
I don't know where she left off because I got disconnected. Just start from the beginning?
She left off with me, Vivian.
Yeah, 6th District.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange.
Present.
Councilman at Large Dwayne Ransiford.
Present.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Present.
Council President Emiliano Perez.
Present.
Y'all wanna watch this, or y'all wanna sit in the kitchen after some fun?
Can we make sure we have our mute buttons on, please, on Zoom? We can hear some here at the council chambers. Okay, we're bringing up public hearing for ordinance 21-0002. For public hearing, anyone here to speak for or against? Coming up?
Hello, William Allen, City Engineer. Here to answer any questions. I'll just give a brief explanation for the projects. This is for the cleaning and televising and relining of the sewer system, both storm and sanitary for Roxana, and also for Alder, going from Guthrie to our most southern land, which is Gary Road.
Do we have any council members that have any questions?
I have a question.
Councilwoman Orange.
Mr. Attorney Estrada, is this public hearing with the change that was on there? Or was this advertised with the change?
There's only a requirement that there need to be a public hearing of the ordinance, not the details of the ordinance. So if there's amended by, any amendment by the members of the council, the public has notice that it's being heard in a public hearing today. And if they wish to hear a discussion on it or any proposed amendments, they would arrive and hear it. It's not necessarily to contemplate any and all amendments within the public notice that may come up to be published.
You can stay right there for a second.
Sure.
I always thought that if you change the amendment, you change the ordinance in any fashion, it should have been advertised, because the original amount hasn't changed, but the amounts in there have changed, taking it from one line item to the other.
Well, I'll take note right now, or make note right now, no amendments have been made any different than what was proposed last time to this point. I think it would be proper for the board to address those amendments during discussion once it's been properly seconded. That's the proper way to hear amendments on the ordinance. But getting to your point, the purpose of notice is to allow the public to know that there will be a public hearing on the specific ordinance at a date certain and a time certain. It's the administration's ordinance and sponsor, along with a few other councilmen. So if, I believe notice has been done properly. Thank you.
Okay, having any other questions for Will? No questions? Thank you, Will. So we will close the public hearing portion and go to minutes of the meeting.
Regular meeting Monday, January 11th, 2021, and executive session Monday, February 8th, 2021.
Motion to accept? Motion to accept by Councilman Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Francisci, was it?
Yes.
Seconded by Councilman Francisci. Roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Francisci,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Perez.
Yes. Any communications from the mayor?
No.
Communication from department heads?
Accounts payable warrant 020421CC, 020921CC, 021021CC, 022221CC, 022221LA.
So moved.
So moved by Councilwoman Orange. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Winfield. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Francisci,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
No.
Orange,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Payroll warrant biweekly 021921.
So moved, Mr. President. So moved by Councilman Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Gonzalez. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Cancellation of warrants 2018.
So moved, Mr. President. So moved by Councilman Garcia. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Winfield. Any questions on the motion?
Yes, Mr. President. Considering I wasn't on the council in 2018.
Councilman Hill, Councilman Garcia got the floor. I'll get you next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well, can you explain the cancellation of
Okay. Council, for the council, this is a procedure that comes up every 2 years. It's required by the state by IC 5-11-10.5. Motion isn't necessary, it's just put into the record. This basically is all checks outstanding and unpaid for a period of 2 years. As of December 31st of each year should be declared canceled. And that's what you see, the list there submitted. Some of them, as you can see, are from the water department. There's various reasons. Sometimes people had moved, they left no forwarding address. Other checks we have caught and they've been reissued, but these, we didn't have time to take these off, so. This is a procedure that happens every year required by the state.
It is every 2 years, correct?
Every 2 years, our checks are good for 2 years.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Councilman Hill.
Yeah, considering I wasn't on the council at that time, is it appropriate to make a vote on this, attorney?
Councilman, no vote is required. We just entered to be put on the record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do it just for recording purposes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Garcia,
We traditionally have voted on it.
I said yes, excuse me.
Orange,
I'm not sure why.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear Orange.
Hold on 1 second now.
Councilwoman Orange, Steve could speak to this as well, but Val's correct, by operation of law, it just needs to be reported. No vote is required, but the council could absolutely go through the motion and record its vote in support of the report by Val and the cancellation of the 2018 invoices.
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes. Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
sorry for the interruption, but can someone please turn their speaker off because it's a lot of feedback?
Way ahead of you.
I think
They're
there's
not
someone
muting
on
their
Zoom.
microphones.
Please check your dials. Okay, we're gonna start with the department heads. Val Gomez, City Controller. Yes, sir. 5 minutes for the department heads.
Mine will be short. I just want to make a comment. I know everything that's been going on. I'd like to, in a way to help keep information going and helping the finance committee, helping the other councilmen. I'd like to offer the services of the controller's office. If anybody has any questions, not only my controller, I'm also the board of works president. I know there's been a question about contracts, anything on financial staff, just to let you know my staff is available to you. We're also available if you need assistance in contacting department heads to arrange a meeting. So I'm offering this assistance to the council.
Thank you very much, Val.
Thank you, John.
Diana Burns, Director, Health Department.
Good evening, council. I'm coming before you to ask for your assistance again. I have presented a detailed list of our contractual and our vendors. I was very grateful for you all to suspend the rules for Dr. Benchick, for her moving from payroll to contractual. We still haven't paid her. Nor have we paid some of our employees that we've hired for the grants that we've received throughout the state. So to make it easier for you all, I detailed our grants that we get from the state and from the foundations and our emergency preparedness, and also our contracts with the individuals who are working in our COVID, who's part of our COVID team. And of course, as you know, that's a mass endeavor that we encounter on a daily basis. So I'm asking for your assistance in looking at this and asking any questions that you need to answer so we can move on and get our employees paid and get our contracts and our vendors paid. Because as we go on, of course, you know, we have to order supplies, and we have a medical department that has to continue. We have an inspection department that, in conjunction with our building department, we use Comcade. So there's many things that overlap. But we are going to need the assistance of you all to look, and then just to ask me and ask any of the other department heads that overlap in our collaboration and our work together, for you all to assist in.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Chief Hector Rosario.
Good evening, Council. Chief Hector Rosario, East Chicago Police Department. Basically here just to give you guys an update of what's going on at the police department. So Friday we closed out our hiring process. We were able to get about 40 applications in. So up next is physical agility and a written exam. So we are going to need some money, so to say, to get the ball rolling on this hiring process. It's been ongoing since before I was chief, so we want to continue that. So we will need funds for that. Outside of that, the 4 that I have in the academy, we are going to be seeking travel approval for them. Up here at the academy in Northwest Indiana and Hobart, they don't have a what they call an EVO track, emergency vehicle operations track. We commute down to Plainfield for a week, basically, to get that training done, to make sure that they get certified, and that way we come back and they can graduate the academy. So with that being said, we got to take care of their hotel while they're down there. They're per diem each day that they're down there. So again, I will be seeking funds for that as well. On a different subject, we've been working with Public Works. If you notice, the snow has been getting removed. We've been working pretty much day and night with them, trying to get the streets cleaned up and so on and so forth. It has incurred some overtime. You know, I don't want to pull someone off the street to block traffic, you know, and pull someone away from answering calls and all that, and you know, stack the call volume up like that. So we have been working trying to get that done. But outside of that, that's pretty much everything we have going on right now. That's all I got. If you guys ever need anything, I'm a phone call away. I'm sure you guys have my phone number. Most of you guys have my phone number. You have my email address. Obviously, reach out to me. Any questions, anything you guys may need.
Thank you, Chief. You gonna take the remainder of the time, Deputy Chief?
We're good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Sarna?
Good evening, Council President Perez, council members.
There are two items that I'd like to talk about from 0242 Gaming Contractual. One of them is our flooring project at Central Fire Station. As you know, former Chief Perez, our flooring at Central Fire Station is very old, been there since the beginning, at least since I've been on, since '95, and probably before that when the building was built in the '70s. So in 2019, we started our flooring replacement project. In 2019, we did all flooring in the front office and the inspection bureau, and we recarpeted areas throughout Central Fire Station. And the next phase, you know, COVID had an impact on what we wanted to do in 2020, so the next phase is here in 2021. We'd like to do the main entrance and the training room areas downstairs, and the training room classroom is a big area. And we also like to do the hallways and the dining areas upstairs. And so that is one project that, based on the cost of what we did in 2019, we're estimating that it'll be approximately $50,000. We're hoping that it'll come in a little less than that. Also, we have a project with our SCBA. We're replacing our cascade system, and we have information if my deputy chief can tell you about the cascade system.
Good evening, Council President Perez. Yeah, we recently purchased a new SCBA cascade system to fill our air bottles. We're looking to install it. We have a bid from Midwestern Electric for $12,732.60 to install it. And it also includes removing the old one and putting a new one in and updating the electrical power to the unit.
So those are the two projects under 0242 Gaming Contractual. And finally, under Civil Service Contractual, we have our hiring going on this year. We're taking applications right now, council members, so please let every East Chicago resident know to come down to Central Fire Station Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pick up an application. The applications are due on the 17th of March. Our test is going to be on the 17th of April. With that being said, we have the company that does our testing. We need contractual and civil service contractual, we need to pay them, as well as we're having promotional exams this year, later on in the year. So we're asking, what we've been averaging is about $17,000 or so per year in this line item. It's 0101 civil service contractual. There have been years where it's only been $5,000 or $6,000, but most years since 2015 it's been about $17,000. So we're asking for that money. I believe that it was $20,000 in that line item. So because of that, the testing that we're doing, and also that line item pays for, during the promotional exams, when we have oral interviews, that pays for the fees for the different oral interview people that are there. So that's what we're asking for today.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Patricia Melendez, HR.
Good evening, Council. I hope everyone's doing well today. Human Resources is requesting your assistance in our budget of $190,000. The following is a breakdown of costs for each program that we cover in our department. Again, this is contractual. Some of them are active. The first program is the Truancy program. We will need $119,788 for the payment of 5 employees that are in the Truancy program. This program ensures that students are learning and staying safe on a daily basis. The next program is our wellness program. This wellness program comes out in October. We are asking $6,000 for the city wellness program that is offered to all employees who have the city insurance. It is a 2-part process that consists of a physical and online survey to evaluate the employee's health. This program does save lives by giving the employees an opportunity to improve their health and well-being through preventive care. By participating in this program, employees are able to keep insurance costs down. Federal Protection Service Security, we need $48,000. This payment is for security officers at City Hall. These officers perform access control to our building, entrance, and ensure public safety. Employee reports background checks, $15,000. Is requested for the payment of background.
Yes. Can you tell whoever's on there to mute themselves because it's interrupting? I've done it 3 times. Can you guys double check your buttons, please, and make sure you're on mute, everyone on Zoom? Because it's hard for Vivian to get notes. Thank you.
Okay. The last one was $15,000 is requested for the payment of background checks when considering new employees, for a total budget of $190,000. I hope you consider these programs as vital and essential to our city employees and our public when considering our budget.
Excuse my interruption. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. President, I have a question for her.
Okay, there's a question for you from Councilman Hill. Go ahead,
Yes,
Councilman
sir.
Hill.
Yes, with that truancy program, since no one's attending school, what are they doing? And if they are doing something, can you give us a full report from each truancy officer on what they're doing?
Okay, since I didn't start with the truancy program, but this is what I have since I am new here, but I do know that they do make checks still, and that they are either calling the different homes and checking out. Now, they do have a director that perhaps would be the best person to talk to. Her name is Tanya Edwards. She's a police officer. So I could forward that information to you.
I'm sorry, can you talk to Ms. Edwards and have her to give us a full report on each and every truant officer, what they're doing? If they're calling somebody, they should have it documented when they call, how many times they call,
Yes.
who did they speak to, and so on.
Yes, we can do that. I will do that.
All right, thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
Mr. Kevin Klosek and Steve Segura.
Good evening, members of the council. Kevin Klosek, Director of IT. And I am just going to brief on one item that is being requested as an appropriation for, actually for the multimedia department, which is a division of IT. And that is from the general fund, and it will fund various advertisements and signage and advertisement for the multimedia news department for a total of $15,000, and the newsletter printing that they do through the year for an amount of $5,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Portalatin, Building Commissioner.
Good evening once again, Mr. President, member of the council. I too am requesting your support for the budget for the building department, contractual services. That includes the title searches from like Chicago Title Insurance Company. They do a title search for the safety will be both. Also there is a final watering bill from Calumet Waste that we were not able to pay. It was one of the last ones in December. I want to be able to pay them as well. Also the amount of $7,804. And the bird waste removal at 1702 Broadway for $7,240. The remaining, the biggest ask is for properties to be able to demolish garages and structures. We're looking at approximately about 70 properties is what we have. Garages are coming in at about 2,500 to 5,000 is what we have to get as far as our bids. And the demolition of structures, it depends on the size, but if it's a smaller house, we get a good, sometimes 15 to 20. And then if it's a larger building, we'll get about 25 to 35. So this would help me be able to, obtain the POs, get these bids. We're gonna have bids coming in April. I could have that already in place so that we could do these demolitions, and it will be affecting each and every of your area. So if you could help us with this would be greatly appreciated. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President,
We have a question from Councilman Hill. Go ahead, Councilman.
Hello, Jay, how you doing? Great. Just a couple quick things. Several people in this community out here, I guess, I don't know, you got a new code enforcement officer. He's doing a pretty good job. However, he's tagging a lot of people and demanding them to get their property up to date or restored within 30 days. But as you know, the way we have this weather, sometimes it's impossible to even get a contractor to come out to do some things. So can you give these residents a little more time to restore their property, at least 6 months or until spring? Because it's hard to do some work out here in this cold weather and all this snow. So I would appreciate if you could tell the code enforcement, when he's writing that citation, at least give them to spring, because it's hard to get things done right now.
Sure.
That's all I'm asking.
Yes, I could
Appreciate
respond. I could respond to you. So now that it's winter time, it's a little bit easier for our code enforcement to tackle these housing issues and during the summer they got so much weeds, garbage, and it's just a very busy time that it's hard. So we write up these structures for housing standards. There's always a phone number down there in the letter that they could contact the code enforcement officer. And we do understand that, we just ask the person that received the letter to contact us, and we can work with them. We understand about we've always done that. And we work with them. We understand the weather issues, but we do ask those, you're going to receive a lot of letters for the addresses in the garages, in the back, and the fences. That's so important for all of us, for emergency. That way we'll be able to identify the property. So that is something that I think you could do as soon as right away, within a week or two, you should be able to get that address back there in your garage so that we can identify the property. So, but we are writing up these garages that they've been there, and there's been a lot of communication. Obviously, that's our duty that we have to do. But we'll definitely work with anyone. Just have them call the inspector that's there. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much. I will give them that message.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, James, could you
Yes,
hear, please?
Councilwoman, go ahead.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Winfield.
Also, I'm saying the same thing that Councilman Hill was speaking of, and I understand, I know very well, James, about how the letters go out and everything, but I've gotten several calls from seniors. We're just making sure that the alleys are clean enough for them to go back there. What type of numbers, can they put stick-on numbers on their garages? Is there gonna be a specific type of numbering you have to put up?
Yeah.
And if they call and say they cannot get to their garage due to snow being, you have some seniors that's over the age of 80 that I've gotten calls from, so it still would take a little time. If you notice that if the code enforcement officer noticed that the alley is not clean or something like that, so they can't get to it, that's one thing, and they should understand that. And I will ask them to call in and speak to the code enforcement officer. But also, is there a particular type of numbering that they have to put on the garage, or can they put the sticky letters on it?
Yeah, they could even do the stickers that they sell in ours. That's more than good enough. You're able to, as long as it don't make it too small, make it
Right. Thank
visible.
you.
But yes, they could do that. Definitely. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you,
Councilman
James.
Norm, I'm with you.
Dr. Zerbe.
President, Councilmember, good evening. Just a little bit of update. We are lucky that with these harsh conditions, we don't have any supply that was interrupted, or the supply, the intake pipe was not frozen, so all water supplies, and we did what we can do, so everything was normal. Right now for the sanitary, the company started cleaning today to Albert Street for the 3700 blocks. Or something is that we started last week, so we are predicting that the snow will be melting this week. So we start cleaning all the drains from Indy Boulevard, and we started from Columbus Drive to 151st Street last week. Today we started railroad cleaning all drains from Columbus Drive to South 152nd. once we finish, next step is to clean all the drains in Michigan Avenue. So we will be working diligently so we can prevent any flooding for stage with the snow melt.
Thank you, Dan. Ben?
Good evening. Good evening. So I'm just going to give you updates and information about the filtration. So basically, thanks to God, I mean, like Dr. Abduli says, the weather was cold and we didn't have no problem by producing the water and all that. The demand for the city of Chicago in winter is between 8 million to 10 million gallons, and it depends on the situation, if it is fire or any emergency. And the summer is between 10 to 14, also it depends on emergencies or there's fire and all that. So the membrane produced that water, I mean, like to 10 million to 14 million without no problems at this time. That's what I have for filtration. For future project, which is, I believe I talked about it the last meeting, which is about the backup generator for wastewater. We don't have, I mean, I don't have much information, I mean, how much it's gonna cost and all that. But I'm sure I'm gonna present that in the future to you guys, and we're gonna need help from you guys to help us to have generator for wastewater. That's what I have.
Thank, Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Can you tell me if the new filtration plant is 100% up or?
Sure, yeah. Like I said, the numbers I did give you, it is from the membrane, which is the new filtration. So we have the new, I mean, membrane is the new one and then conventional is the old one. For the new one, yes. We did a lot of work on it, and like since I started 2017 here, I did a lot of work on it. I mean, with teamwork and all that. We changed a lot of control, we changed a lot of piping and all that. We get it to that level which, yes, can produce that much water. However, we still, every day we face something different. We never did see it before. So now we're going for efficiency. So basically, NIPSCO, I mean, like we're trying to use a lot of NIPSCO by NIPSCO chemical. We're trying to have it more efficient. But for production, yes, we can do the production, no problem.
Are we still using both of them then?
Sure. We use the conventional old plant 3 times a week, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We use them, the total is, we're talking about 6 million gallons a week. We have to use it. If we don't use the old plant, the filters are gonna go bad, and then we have to do with item. So we don't want to deal with the state. So we have to keep that running at this time. Any questions?
Councilman Garcia.
Yeah.
Can I take this one?
Percentage-wise, so telling me if you're using it 3 times a week, is there roughly 50% of the time? Is the new one is up 50% of the time?
Let's put it down. So for the membrane, we try to use it 90%. We give in here,
I understand about the membrane, but how much water is the new plant producing? 50% of the water we use, 75%?
Are you talking about the old plant?
No.
New plant?
New plant, yeah.
Yeah, so like 90%. Let's say we're producing like 8 million. That's today probably we did 8 million. So I'm just saying, assuming it's Monday today. So we do 6 from, we use 4 from old plant, and we use another 4 from old plant. Just for those 2 days. 3 days, but other than that, we can use. However, we can run the old plant without using the new plant. But right now, like I said, we're doing some efficiency and all that.
So the new plant's just not up and running 100%?
No, it is 100%.
Well, why are you using the old plant then?
For, what is it?
So we use the other plants because we have to use it. Otherwise, it will be useless. So we have to use the old plants.
If you're saying like we have to take it off from the network, that's what, we're working on it. To take it up from the network, yeah, sure. That's what we're trying to do. And then don't forget, by building 2 tanks, storage tanks, so we're talking about like 444, which is 12 million gallon. plus we have elevated tank, which is another $500,000 and a half, so we're talking about 13.5 million. Adding another $500,000 at $1.5 million and old plant, so we're talking about 15 million gallons. So that's supply for almost a day and a half. 2 days, yeah, I mean, if you want to say 2 days, we can say 2 days.
So you can't run.
So you don't have to worry about the water, you will get
No,
water.
you can't run the city without the old plant.
When you say that, I mean, like, we have.
You can't put it offline.
You want to sit down, or? That is above my pay grade, so.
Excuse me, can you repeat your question?
You cannot run the city with the new plant. You need the old plant.
No. We discussed with Veolia, we get new membranes. Right now they are running 16 million gallons if we need it. We are good. But we need to run the old plants because you have to make it run. Otherwise it will be not good for the water quality at that plant. Right now, if we need 16 million, we give it to you 60 million gallons daily from the new plant. It's good because we have new membranes. Before I came, there was agreement between the city and Evoqua if what we call the system when they did the test, and they say, okay, if we have run such level, we are good. But the contract should be running on the waters. So when I came, I talked to Lobo, this is the technical engineer, the technical director for Evoqua. I said, you are default on the flow. So then we discussed that agreement between the city and Evoqua for me is useless. So we discussed new ones, say, hey, we need 3 membranes because you are 40 on the floor. Then we get 4 membranes for free. 2 we paid like prorated one. So instead of paying around $1 million, we paid just 100,000. So this is like 900,000 saving because we got them from that flow. Right now the plant is working fine. They will stay maybe 5-6 years. This is the lifetime. At that time we have to start searching for new technology because those membranes right now we call them NIPS. And they are temperature dependent. We call them TIPS. That means we don't care about temperature. We have discussion with other suppliers. Maybe in 5 years, we have to bring new models. But right now, it's working fine. It depends on temperatures. In the summer, 60 million. Right now, we can provide 14.8.
Well, you answered my question. You can't run the city without old plant. So.
No, we don't say that. If we can take all the old plants, we can take it down right now. But for me, old plant is an asset that's worth $15 million. If you see around the cities around us, they need water. So this is a future revenue for the city. I'm against shutting down the old plant.
Just one more thing.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
So you're saying that it's better for us to keep the old plant running because in the future, the other cities are going to want to buy our water?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question for me, or?
Thank you, Ben. Ms. Lena Guzman and Ed Sampson.
Good evening, council members and council president. Just to note that Mr. San is not here today. For the record, Lena Guzman, Water Department Director again. As you are aware, or as I have mentioned previously, our budget for 2021 allotted for distribution maintenance is limited to $500,000, which leaves the Water Department to seek additional funding from other city sources to cover expenses in order to continue maintaining our distribution system, which maintenance is critical for our operations. The following are various projects that we will be seeking funding for from the city in our efforts.
Will, can you close that door, please? Thank you, Will. Excuse me.
No, you're fine. Again, just to note a couple of the projects that we will be seeking funding for from the city in our efforts, again, to maintain the distribution system. Fire hydrant repair replacement program. Amy Simpson inspected 570 hydrants citywide in 2020, and based on the reports, several hydrants will be required to be serviced or repaired and replaced. Just to give you an idea, maintenance inspection results entail 206 hydrants having no problems and 364 hydrants identified as having defects or problems. Flow testing inspection results entail 487 hydrants having no problems, with 59 having minor problems and 24 having severe problems. Inventory. This would be for the purchase of larger sized insert valves ranging from 20 to 36 inches, main and pipeline inventory to provide continuation of service in an emergency situation. Leak repair program, repair leaks anticipated to be identified under the 2020 leak detection program currently taking place to reduce water loss and conserve our water resource. Valve assessment and exercising program. This includes mapping and identifying valve asset locations, emphasizing whether they are operational, accessible, or buried. Valve repair replacement program. This is when we anticipate repairs and replacement of valves that are broken, inoperable, or compromised during the valve assessment and exercising program. B-box repair and replacement program. Approximately 100 B-boxes have been identified in need of replacement, allowing our department to shut off, turn on services as needed or required. And finally, the 4506 Railroad Avenue. I mentioned this previously. This is for the final repairs to the city's 24-inch water main in close proximity of the CSX Railway. This project is anticipated to commence within the next couple of months. We anticipate requests for additional funding to be presented in the future for consideration, so to move forward on these important and very critical projects relating to our department. And that's all I have today. If you have any questions, thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Guzman?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, sir, Councilman Hill.
Yes, good evening, Ms. Guzman. Just a couple of things. I know tomorrow, on the 23rd tomorrow, yes, you are going to be shutting off the water at 149th Street to 151st Street on McCook Avenue and between 151st McCook and the Canal. I wish somebody would have got some flyers out to me so that I could have went to those residents and passed them out, but I doubt it. A lot of them know this is going to be happening tomorrow. So in the future, if you get a project, something like that, emergency thing you have to do, somebody give me some information so I can pass out. Because not only I'm the councilman, I'm also the precinct committeeman for that area.
That is fine.
And I'm quite sure I'm going to get some calls, as well as Councilman Garcia. I know he's going to get some calls too.
Yes, we did put out some flyers or some door knockers. We did place those out there as well as on Nixon.
I didn't get one, and I'm the representative, so next time please inform me so I can make sure that
it may not affect your block.
And I'm just kidding, Rob. I thank you because Rob the one gave me the information.
And I apologize, but in the future I will.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions for Ms. Guzman? Being none, thank you very much, Mayor. Mr. Douglas Powers, our city planner.
Good evening, Council. So you can look forward at the next agenda that we'll be bringing the facade resolution before you to have a determination on. Beyond that, some of the things that have been happening in the planning department, we've had, a couple of business renewals. There's been a handful of property inquiries too, none related to the side lot program. They've all, fallen under the redevelopment department. Beyond that, it's pretty much a typical day. We haven't had a lot of, permit-related inquiries for zoning since there's not a lot of developers going. So we've been looking into what we can do, moving forward with, what needs to be done with the comp plan and such. If you have any questions, you want to answer?
Any questions for Mr. Powers? Being none, thank you very much, Mr. Powers. Ms. Vanessa Hernandez Orange, our park director.
Good evening, Council. I believe you're all starting to get used to seeing my colleagues and myself. I apologize for not being able to keep some of your interest during our department head update, but this matter is important to me as I am here to ask for funding for the Park and Recreation Department to serve the community I live and work for. Some on the City Council have created multiple steps for us department heads to get work done, but we will do what we have to for our department's sake. For example, I'm here to ask you to approve ordinance 21-004. It contains Park and Recreation Department asking for $40,000 for events and supplies. In this amount are supply money that I am waiting to purchase virtual program material for. Virtual programs that I have now pushed back until March 15th because the fund I purchased supplies was zeroed out. Unfortunately, today is the first day we were able to go before the council to ask for funding, and in the past, we are not sure if all supplies will come in on time to start programs in March 1st, the original date of programming. So this caused the program to be pushed back until March 15th. Ordinance 21-004 will also give me funding to have the Park and Recreation Department annual Easter celebration. If this ordinance is not approved, I will then have to let our community know we do not have the funding. I do not want to hurt our community. We have tried to find ways to work in a socially distanced manner to provide happiness to families. I ask that you do not take it away by not approving our ordinance. I wanted to make mention to another item of concern. Since funds were zeroed out and we have to continually go before the Board of Funds, emergencies is an issue. How are we going to address emergency funding for emergency situations? Last week, Heritage Hall had leaks causing one side of the wall to begin to bubble. There are puddles that reach all up into the counter. The classroom that is underneath an area that seems to be with water leaks has now new spots in the ceilings. With that being said, we have to have a company come in to figure out the source of the problem. After it's assessed, if we do not have funding, we have to wait either to put it on the agenda for a public meeting or wait 48 hours for a special meeting, depending on the amount of the service. I might have to receive funding from gaming, which means I would have to go wait 48 hours for a special meeting for the Public Works. Then I would have to wait another 48 hours to have a special meeting with the Park Board to get it approved. This is a total of 6 days to try to request funding for a problem to be fixed. We know the funds are there, but we can't touch them until after maybe 6 days. If that's not concerning to you, if your homes had a leak from your front entrance to the kitchen, would you wait 6 days? I understand the job of being fiscally responsible and being in charge of budgets, but I do not want to keep our hands tied. Not allowing departments to work or fix problems in a timely manner. While some play the blame game, we as department heads are trying to work in an effectively and efficient manner for the residents of East Chicago. Let's never forget who we serve, our communities. Thank you for your time. Natalie is actually not going to come today. She's not here, so she will not be speaking.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Hernandez? Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Mr. Keith Selvey.
Good evening, Mr. President and council members. I stand here before you tonight to ask for additional appropriations on, I believe, 6 line items that we typically will receive the funds out of the contractual services account that you zeroed out. These 6 items are various different things that are required, and a total amount of $33,235.01. Secondly, I would like to address the council on the executive order number 2102 that Mayor Copeland passed or enacted back on February 26th, in which he declared an emergency for the city of East Chicago in response to the 18 inches of snow that were deposited here at the city of East Chicago. With him enacting this particular executive order, it allowed me to do a couple things. The first was we enacted our private vendors to come out and give us some assistance to remove snow from the easements and the streets. That particular duty is ongoing, so I don't have a total amount of what this particular additional appropriation will be. It'll be forthcoming probably in the next meeting or so once they've completed their work. I'm open to answer any questions at this point.
Any questions for Mr. Selby? Being no questions, I just want to make a comment. Got something you want to add?
Okay. Renee just made me aware that we're looking for approximately, and this number may change, we have 7 different contractors out serving each one of your districts. We're looking for initial $50,000 per contract.
Thank you very much for that information. I'd just like to make the comment that you guys did a great job. The world didn't fall down because we zeroed out the budget. You were able, there is a mechanism in place. It's not the ideal mechanism, okay? I agree with that. But there is a mechanism in place for emergencies. So I just want to make that comment only because we talk so much about during emergencies we can't do something. There are mechanisms for emergencies. I'm glad you exercised it and the mayor exercised it. And we look forward to helping you accomplish what it is you need to do.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Yes, Ms. Winfield.
I would like to make a comment, and I'd like to thank Public Works. Kudos, Renee said, know how I feel about that department. We're doing a great job through our storm that we had. And my concern also is the salt. Do we have enough salt?
Yes.
The answer was yes by Mr. Sid.
Yes, we have plenty of salt, and we have some salt on reserve also from the factory, from the company rather.
Perfect, because I know that's the main concern for Public Works, is making sure that there's enough salt, man. Because it can run out easy because of the storm and the constant freezing that's going on.
For sure.
Thank you.
City's in good hands.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Mr. President?
Councilwoman Orange first. Mr. Hill, then I'll get back to you.
I'm sorry, okay.
Again, I'd like to thank you. I hate that the zero out because I know the job that you guys have to do on the spur of the moment. But is the salt paid for? Because if the salt ain't paid for, you may not be getting any more salt. Is the salt paid for?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Hill.
Yes, I'd just like to thank Mr. Sid and his crew because I witnessed him many hours out there in my district and other areas of the city trying to do what we need to do to get the snow up to make our community safe and make it clean so we can travel about. So once again, Sid, I thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Council. And Mr. Selby did a good job also.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
I have a question for Mr. Sid. Can you tell the council about the new program that's starting with the vehicles in the city?
It's going to be a centralized location at the city garage. All department will be sending their vehicles to Public Works, which Selby could speak on that a little bit more.
So what we decided to do was 2 things. Take a look at each one of our vendors, evaluate their actual performances, We had different departments doing different things with different vendors. What we wanted to do was do an economy of scale, put a program together to make it cost efficient for the city in terms of, this particular vendor charging X amount of dollars for oil change versus another charging X amount of dollars. So what we did was we put together a proposal, and we took it to our vendors, and they could actually join the program if they basically acknowledged that per each category of service, they would perform that particular service. Right now, we will be servicing all of the vehicles throughout the city from every department except for the fire department and the police department.
Can you tell me what, because I've been hearing that the program is gonna have a GPS signal on each vehicle for the city, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What exactly is that?
We implemented a GPS system on each of the city's vehicles approximately about a year. We started about a year ago. Currently, I would say 96% of the actual vehicles have GPS. What that does is it allows us to figure out where they are, how efficient they are being used, as well as it gives us an opportunity to kind of see what their tasks are daily. We do what we call geo boundaries, which kind of set up a perimeter around the city to make sure that they stay in the city. And then, in the past, there were some issues with some folks just sitting. We get alerts when a vehicle sits more than a specific time. So we want to make our force a lot more proficient, as well as we can make them more accountable.
So that's specifically just to keep track of the vehicles and make sure they stay in the city?
That, as well as just the efficiency of how they're actually operating.
And do we have to pay monthly for that, or yearly? How is that?
There's an initial fee for the actual service of providing the equipment in the vehicles, and yes, there is a monthly fee.
Can you, at the next meeting or through email, can you give me a rundown per vehicle and per year how much we paid on that?
Sure.
Any other questions? Being none, thank you very much, gentlemen. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. William Allen.
Hello, council. The engineering department, not on this meeting, but the following, will have line items in the ordinance for projects similar to Roxana and Alder. We'd like to move forward with some projects, both construction and maintenance. Examples are sections of sewer pipe that need to be replaced, our Opticom technology, which is used at every intersection for emergency response to clear traffic as they approach and clear signalized intersections. Homerly being reconstructed from 148 to 151st Street. Striping and ADA enhancements throughout the city, and many more.
Any questions from Mr. Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Can you tell me if the 41st block of Homerly is considered in this upcoming, the 41st block of Homerly where there were supposed to be French drains installed for the 3 or 4 houses?
Yeah, in the alley, yeah.
So that's going to be in the next, when you request the money, that's going to be, okay, I just want to make sure.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, I know Ivy was on the list. What's the status on Ivy?
Ivy, currently, we have a contract to reline the sewers and also repave the pavement for Ivy and Hemlock.
What's the timeline? I know after this.
Yeah, right now we're being held back because of the weather. The contractor will be back on site the beginning or mid, just depending on weather, March. They'll continue to reline Homerly, and after Homerly, they'll move on to Ivy.
Any other questions for Mr. Allen?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. Hill?
Yes, Will. I know last year you all started paving some of the alleys in the 3rd District. Are you all gonna complete that list I gave you, last year for some of the alleys in the third district, especially over there by the Raleigh Park area?
Yes.
Uselli and Cary, they got some bad alleys over
Yeah,
there, so
Griselli
I hope you
and
pay some
even
attention to
moving,
those.
yeah, Griselli and even moving over to, the east. There's a number of alleys that we wish to tackle this year that we haven't, finished from last year.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I got a question.
Yes.
Mr. Francisci?
Hey, William, is there do you have a list of, maybe of what you're gonna do in each councilman's, district?
Yes.
That you can probably present us, so then, at least we know what's going on, and maybe we can, critique some of it if, go over some things with you on it?
Yeah, I have a list and I can even highlight it on the map as well.
All right, if you could send that, please.
Of course.
Thank you.
Ms. Winfield?
Yes, Mr. Allen, once again, I'm coming to you, after I spoke with NIPSCO about the lighting on 141st Street in Sunnyside. These lights have been dim, for 2 years now. I'm asking if you could work with them and see what kind of project we can get going for Sunnyside. Everything is not lit up in Sunnyside. It's basically around the park and, maybe Butternut, but all of our streets. And I know that's a NIPSCO pole, we spoke of that. But when I spoke with NIPSCO, they said that the city engineer would have to work with them, which we had that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If you can check into that, and hopefully that could be a project that comes up also.
Yeah, we can sit down and discuss what we can do, for Sunnyside, whether we need to increase the intensity of all the lights. But that may work for some, but, for others, they may not like that. But, yeah, we can sit down and, I guess, go over and fine tune the plan, yeah.
The area I'm speaking of on 141st, it's dangerous for our residents over there. We have seniors over there that they're coming out, the lights are actually yellow. Okay, they're not white. I know you're trying to save energy. But in order for NIPSCO to boost that lighting just a little bit, it has to come from the city.
Yeah, I got you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Allen. Frank Rivera, Director of Redevelopment.
Good evening, Mr. President, common council members. Just wanted to just go through the process of hoping that from the additional appropriation ordinance that's in front of you, that the Department of Redevelopment is covered with all the array of different projects that we have in front of you. Just wanted to let you know that it's been a trying time, especially this last week or so, because of the things that I elucidated in my last 3 meetings with you. And they're now starting to come to fruition. Some of them being, and I'm just saying, let's be careful of what we are saying out there, because when they call you, you're not giving them the right information. And it's becoming a lot of misnomers, because there's things that I know the chief knows. I say the chief because that's what he was, the chief. And the president knows that when it comes to down payment assistance programs, there are no POs. And people are saying that there's POs that we should have reserved. There are no POs in this program. The wire transfers. There are 11 items that we give to our clients to tell them from a pre-qualification level, these are the documentations that you need. If you don't have the documentation, we can't go forward with the wiring. And plus, it being zero, I have to go to Val's group, the controller's office, send the wire to them, with them saying zero, it doesn't go through them. And so I just saying, let's be careful, because we're in this all together. And I know that there are specific guidelines contractually that guides me, and I'm willing to give you our contract so you can read into it, so that you can see all the different parameters, because that's what it is. That contract is very specific in how to dealing with certain things. And I know we all care about what we're doing. But one thing I would like to ask is, I remember 2 years ago or so, and I think most of the council members that are here, the ones that have been here for a while, there was a $500,000 that we got asked for 2 years in a row for the down payment assistance program. That never came to fruition. And I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, so that way as we're moving forward, the DPA program, the redevelopment programs, the rehab programs, all go in the right direction. Right now, because of the weather, I haven't had a lot of issues with the rehabs.
but I know it's gonna come sooner or later. So I would truly appreciate if any of you need assistance in interpreting some of these things. That's my forte. I love this stuff. There's nothing more exciting for me than doing redevelopment. So if any of you need me, I'm here for you. Okay?
Any questions? Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Dwayne Ransford has a question.
Mr. Ransford, I got Councilwoman Gonzalez acknowledged. I'll get you next.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a question of the way it was presented and about the funding. I know that each person is allotted $10,000, and then if they're a East Chicago employee, they get an additional $5,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that fund different from you asking us? Is that separate, or does that fund come from us also?
That fund comes from Fund 0299. It's part of your general funds. That was the $350,000 that all of you decided to.
So if somebody was an employee on that list and there's only 10,000, there should be 15,000 if they're an employee?
Right. Or if they're buying a brand new home, it would be a lot more. The reason I believe that I decided to go this low was because I wasn't sure what the outcome would be in terms of asking for the dollar, since we've been up here 3 times, so I just didn't want to put a lot on the common council. I could come back again and ask more.
The only concern I have is I know one of them is an employee, and that's why I thought it was coming from a different fund.
No.
So then you have to come back and ask for the additional 5,000, is that what you're saying?
Well, this one right here has that additional 5, because I only have 5 people in the pipe. Now, there's some other people out there that are saying that they're ready to close and things of that nature, but they don't have all their paperwork to put them in the pipe. So, and that goes back to this piece here, the pre-qualification letter. All these items specifically address what you're supposed to do. So when they come out of the workshop, they're thinking they give you one piece of paper. I took the class, I'm done. I got the $10,000. It's not the way it works. It's based on all the documentation being submitted, and there are different stages as you're going through the process, so that as we're bringing you to a different level with it, you'll have everything in place. So when you close, there are no questions about it. And there's always going to be questions regardless anyway, if it's good or bad, or whatever may be the case, because people don't have a good understanding of the programs. And I'm here to help all of you.
Any other questions for Mr. Rivera?
Yes, Dwayne Ransford has a question.
Mr. Ransford?
Mr. Rivera, obviously the last thing we want to do is prolong anyone that's looking to move into our city and with the down payment assistance. So with that being said, I was wondering, is there any way possible, and Mr. President, you could, tell me if I'm in line or not, if he requests the dollar amount that he had last year, that he budgeted last year, or that was used last year for the down payment assistance, and bring that before the board, and we approve that dollar amount, so that way going forward, that's money already set aside for the down payment assistance? Is that something we could do?
The city council cannot initiate an appropriation. The administration can put whatever amount they want, but the issue we've been having, we go back to, you were part of the finance committee, is that they don't identify it specifically as down payment assistance when they do the contractual services with the budget. If they did that, regardless of the amount, if he comes up here and says down payment assistance, $200,000, I don't think anybody would vote that down. It's just not identified as that. It goes into a lump sum category called contractual services, and that's what we're trying to get away from. So I would encourage them to do a bigger additional appropriation for down payment assistance and present it to the council. And with every department head, present what you need, and you will get it. Any other questions?
Just, if I can answer a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
I truly appreciate that, Councilman Ransford, because with that $500,000, I could spend it. My past experiences have been in the $400,000 to $500,000 per year, and that would help things stimulate our process here, especially when you're talking about people who are purchasing homes and now paying taxes and things of that nature. So, again, I know we're all trying to do the same things and be right
in line with what we want to serve our community. And so, and again, I appreciate the fact that, you give me a chance to have some conversation with all of you. Y'all have a nice night.
Thank you very much, Frank. Does someone have another question? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're done with the department heads committee reports. Any committee reports? Hearing none, any board reports? Any ordinances on first reading?
Yes, ordinance 21-004, sponsored Mayor Anthony Copeland, additional appropriation ordinance funding various activities, functions, and projects of city departments.
So move on first and second reading, Mr. President.
Moved on first and second reading by Councilman Garcia and seconded by Councilwoman Orange. Any questions on the motion? Mr. Garcia.
Can we suspend the first and second and do the third reading so we can get this
Councilman
moving?
Hill, Mr. Garcia's got the floor. I'll call you after he's done.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Garcia?
Councilman.
I see in this ordinance here, it still isn't a catch-all fund that I see. They provided additional paperwork to us, but it's not part of this ordinance, correct?
I would agree that they gave us quite a bit of paperwork in detail. I also agree that it's a little bit hard to follow in the ordinance. I'm sure that it was an ordinance put together quite quickly because of the time frame that was required to get it advertised last week. So it might need a little polishing up. I'll meet you halfway.
I like all the information that we obtained from everybody. It's very detailed. This is something we've been asking for, but it needs to be part of the ordinance also. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to amend that. I move to amend the ordinance to reflect the specific budget line items and project codes and direct our financial advisor to work with the controller's office to make the revisions and circulate for our review prior to our next one.
There is a motion on the floor to amend the ordinance to include the detail in the actual ordinance that has been provided already for us to review. Councilwoman Orange?
Okay, so we had a motion on the floor that was first and second. That motion needs to, you can send your motion and ask for an amendment, but you can't have two motions on the floor at one time.
No.
Am I correct or no?
I can understand the confusion, Councilman Woman Orange. The proper way to amend a motion is during discussion. The issue is whether Mr. Garcia can amend his own motion. I don't think that's proper. If you want to rescind your motion and then restate your motion with your amendment, it'll probably be a cleaner record for the meeting minutes, so we get the intent of what you want passed put down. So right now you need to rescind both motions and then make a motion with amendments.
I thought when we entertained the ordinance, that there were going to be revisions, or I can amend to change during discussion.
Yeah, and I guess the issue is whether it's clear in the minutes. So I would, as your legal advisor, ask you to rescind the motions and make a motion to pass in all one motion, since they're both by you.
So I need to make a motion to make the amendment in here and first and second reading.
That's correct.
Rescind my motion, Mr. President.
Second.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion with passing on first and second with an amendment. I move to amend the ordinance to reflect the specific budget line items and project codes and direct our financial advisors to work with the controller's office to make these revisions and circulate for our review prior to the next meeting.
We have a motion and a second by Mr. Monroe. Any questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia.
One thing I'd like to say that all the paperwork that we got, the detailed information will be in this amendment. I mean, it'll be in the ordinance. That's the only thing. That's it, Mr. President.
Any other questions on the motion?
Yes, Attorney Estrada, this is not delaying this process, is it?
No,
Will it
there's
still
no,
go on as-
Councilman Winfield, there's no delay in the process. We're passing it, or the motion is to pass it on first and second. I would assume it'd be heard on a public hearing next meeting for adoption, and then signature presented for the mayor's signature the next day. So
Okay,
no
thank
delay.
you.
Yep.
Any other questions on the motion?
Question from the audience, if you care.
Ms. Morgan.
Good evening, Carl Morgan, Corporation Counsel of the City of East Chicago. I'm reading from a DOGF memo from Fred Van Dorp, who's the Director of the Budget Division. This memo was issued February 28th, 2 years ago, 2019. To correct the record on the procedure you can follow, you can't amend the ordinance the way it was just described to you. I'll just read it straight from the record. I can send it to your council. Public notice. What's buried in here is the process by which you can amend an appropriations ordinance. But public notice, the proper fiscal body of the unit must give public notice of their proposed additional appropriation. The notice shall state the time and place in which the public hearing will be held on the proposal. The notice should include each fund name and number, a categorical breakdown of the proposed additional appropriation for each fund, and the total of the proposed additional appropriation in each fund. The notice shall be published one time in 2 newspapers published in the unit's jurisdiction. And I'm sorry, I read more than I needed to, but basically, the next section, public hearing, you can amend it at the public hearing. So here we go. The proper fiscal body of the unit shall hold a public hearing on the proposal as advertised. At the public hearing, action shall be taken to approve, modify, or disapprove the proposed additional appropriation as advertised. So to repeat, you can do it at the public hearing, which is what happens before your regular meeting. Then, if the unit's fiscal body postpones action at the request until the following meeting, the additional appropriation ordinance does not have to be re-advertised, provided the postponement of the request is stated publicly and included in the minutes of the correctly advertised meeting. And all requirements, of the open door law are satisfied. The fiscal body shall not adopt appropriation ordinance exceeding the amount advertised. So, again, just wanted to correct it for the record. You can amend it only at the public hearing. If you want changes, the ordinance could be resubmitted by the mayor. Any questions on the menu? On the memo, I'll send this to you. It's from, if I can show everybody, it's the State Board of Accounts talking, not me.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan.
Appreciate that. If you can email it to me, I'll just
Sure.
address one thing. What Ms. Morgan has stated is that the public notice requires a delineation of what fund it's going to be appropriated from. Mr. Garcia's amendment did not change any funds. It simply stated the details of what is going to be appropriated be listed in the ordinance, and also directed the financial advisor, Mr. Dalton, to work with the comptroller. The general funds of what has been noticed has not been changed by your amendment. So I believe it's good notice. It's a proper amendment. And if there's a quarrel with the mayor's office, it's their quarrel.
Councilwoman Orange.
Councilwoman Winfield just asked a question, would this hold up the ordinance? And you kind of said, no, this would not, but this is going to be within 2 weeks, so it is actually holding up the ordinance, because I know we have to have the public hearing now because of this, but it is holding it up.
Here's what we can do, Mrs. Councilwoman Orange, I don't mean to cut you off. If you have any concerns with what Attorney Morgan just presented, and if her presentation has dissuaded you from passing the amendment, you go always, to her recommendation, make the amendment at the public hearing.
But that has nothing to do with the amendment. I'm saying was, Councilwoman Stacy Winfield asked you a question, was this hold up, this ordinance from these people being able to get these funds to be able to do what they necessarily need? She asked was, is this going to hold it up? And you said no, but yes it is, because it will not come back until the next meeting. So it is going to be a hold up within 2 weeks.
It's gonna be presented for public hearing at the next meeting.
At the next meeting, so there's still a hold up, because like I said, the.
Either way, it's gonna be here at the next meeting, Councilman Orange.
But she asked you that, and it is true that it is a hold up, because now we gotta wait till another meeting for which some of these funds as,
You have to regardless.
okay. I'm not gonna argue the point, but like I said, it is a hold up.
The public hearings,
My opinion.
public meeting is being scheduled for next council meeting.
And so every time this happens, we will have to have a public meeting, which takes it 2 weeks down the line. So what they really need to do is.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
what
apologize.
they really need to do is get everything in at one time, so that we can get it all cleared up, so they can.
Yes,
Like,
I believe what Mrs. Winfield's, or Councilman Winfield's, or at least I interpret her question, I mean, was the amendment gonna hold up anything? Not whether some other issue that may be contemplated. I don't believe it is. If there's any.
Well, my
Councilman
question was actually, was it still, I'm sorry, Mr. President, is if it was going to be holding up the process, that is the question. What
The
you just
amendment?
repeated. That's what I was asking, because we're constantly holding it up. And what you're saying is that we have to go through the third hearing just to pass it.
Yes,
Is that
next
what you're
meeting.
saying?
Yes. So my interpretation, Councilman Winfield, was whether Mr. Garcia's amendment would hold it up. My answer to that was no, because a public hearing is going to be held next week, regardless if there was an amendment or not. Attorney Morgan then presented a letter from DLGF stating that the public notice requires a delineation of the general funds where the appropriation is going to be made. I clarified that Mr. Garcia's amendment didn't change any funds or add any funds. It simply requested proper information that he thought would be proper under those funds for each project, and directed Mr. Dalton to work with the comptroller. I believe that still doesn't offend the notice requirements, because it doesn't touch the general funds. But if there's any risk or concerns of whether it does, you always make that amendment at the public hearing, Mr. Garcia, to make sure we do comply in total with the notice provisions. I don't believe it does, but there's belt and suspenders you could do to make sure. Thank you.
Councilman Garcia, did you want to rescind and do it without the amendment, or you want to go ahead and go to a vote with the amendment?
I go with the vote.
Okay. Any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
No.
Bill, Bill,
No.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
I'm sorry, Orange,
No.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Mineral,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes, motion passes.
Okay.
Ordinances on second reading.
Mr. President, I just wanted to make it clear, so this passed on first and second reading, correct?
This passed the first and second reading with the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, see, I disrespect you.
Any ordinances on second reading?
no,
Ordinances on third reading?
yes. Ordinance 21-0002, as amended, sponsors council members Lenny Francisci, Terrence Hill, and Gilda Orange. Additional appropriation ordinance for Roxana Storm and Sanitary Sewer Lining and Alder Street Sewer Cleaning and Lining, EC General Fund, Engineering Department.
Any questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia.
We have an issue. Can you tell them to mute their buttons, please?
Everybody, please check your mute buttons again. We're hearing background noise again at the council chambers. Thank you. Councilman Monroe, can you hear us?
He can't. That's why I'm telling him to get hold of him so that way.
I just took it off mute, I can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Just doing a wellness check. Councilman Garcia.
Yes, I had a question. I had an amendment to this ordinance. Should I state the ordinance, amend it, and pass it on third reading, Councilman?
Mr. Garcia, I couldn't hear your question.
Mr. President.
Could you repeat your question, Mr. Garcia?
Yes, I have an amendment to this ordinance that we're gonna hear in third and final reading. Should I, make a call for the amendment and also the third and final reading?
I think you should call for it on third and final reading. Mr. Perez, or Councilman Perez will ask for a discussion, and then we can have an amendment discussion, vote on the amendment, and then vote on, if the amendment passes, vote on the motion with the amendment.
So moved in third and final reading, Mr. President.
So moved. Any other questions on the motion?
Second. Mr. President, we can barely hear the council that's there. I can barely hear them. Could they speak up, please?
Councilman Monroe's asking that all the council members here in the chambers please speak up. Is that better, Councilman Monroe?
I can hear you, but the other three is real faint.
Okay, we'll try to do a better job. Okay, I'd like to...
Was there a second, Mr. President?
Yes.
Second.
Second by Councilman Monroe. And questions on the motion?
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to amend it.
Oh, I was on.
We have-
on.
Who's that? Steve, would you come up and describe the amendment?
Hope you all have in your possession a copy of the amended ordinance being proposed under this motion. It moves $75,000 to a new line item entitled Legal Services, and that $75,000 is taken from the previous engineering, design, and contingency line item, so there is no change in the total for the ordinance.
So the $75,000 will be taken from contingencies, which is money that is set aside in case they find unexpected items. So it's not for the project itself as the price of the project was quoted. That minimizes the impact, and if contingency needed to be raised later on, we could do that. Any other questions? Councilwoman Orange.
Okay, so where's the legal services going? Where's that legal, $75,000?
I apologize, to your budget, to the council's department budget for the defense of this council in the ongoing legal action with the mayor.
So that you taking $75,000 that could possibly be in for contention fund for Roxana, who has had a lot of problems with water and everything like that, put it in our legal fund for the council, without asking any of these three people that are on this. Nobody even had enough respect to call any of us and say, hey, this is what we need to do because of the fact that we don't have any money in legal or anything. Just take it and do whatever you want. Well, like they told me, you got 5 votes, so you can do whatever you want to do. But I just think out of respect, it should have been done better. And if the $75,000 to be taken from a project that really needs it, and you don't know what to get, and the contingency fund is there for a reason, you turn around and then as long as this process is going to be taken now, where you got to go and ask for 3 readings and then to have it published for in the legal notices and public hearing, and then put $75,000 back. I just think, I think you guys are just doing whatever you want to do.
Any other questions on the motion?
Yeah.
Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, money that's left in contingency goes back to the general fund, and it's funny money that's went back to the general fund. So there's no surplus that's gonna stop.
Any other questions on the motion?
Yeah, Mr. President, I just think that, I'm from the district and I fight the battles with the rain every time. We've waited so long to try to get something done in this Roxanna area, and I'm sure the other areas as well. And for us to just, roll the dice and take a chance because they want to put the money somewhere else is not fair. You never know what's gonna happen. I mean, the project is not finished yet, so for them just to move the money, that's not fair to the residents.
Thank you, Mr. Francisci, but that's what this vote is about. No one's moved any money yet. That's what the vote is about.
Yeah, yet.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, Dwayne Ransford, I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Ransford.
So, in the event that, obviously, the last thing we want to do again is, put the city, the residents of Roxana in a situation where they're, after going through everything they've been going through, and I definitely sympathize with them to, come up on the short end of the stick. So with that being said, is it possible, I know it's possible, but in the event that they, the engineers see it falling short, that they come to the board for additional appropriations to ensure that that project is completed at 100%, so there's no issues and the residents are not.
Absolutely, Mr. Ransford. That's the design behind it. It's the administration can always come back and increase this by the 75 that we're moving, or even by 200,000. They can ask for any additional appropriation to complete the project, absolutely. Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, I just want to state, Mr. President, for the Roxanna Storm and sanitary sewer line, which we're not touching, is $3,416,960. Alder Street sewer line is $6 million. Alder Street sewer clean is $150,000. Contingency, we don't know. They might come back and say we need $1 million, more for this project and stuff like that. So 9 times out of 10, that fund is always getting money back to the general fund.
And in fairness, it's important that the council notes that the council has passed an appropriation for legal on a standalone, and even after overriding a veto, they just would not enter it in the gateway. So this is one way for the council to pay for the defense of being sued by the administration. Any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Francisci,
No.
Hill,
No.
Winfield. Winfield,
No.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
I'm sorry,
No.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Perez.
Yes, motion passes. We need a motion to hear on final and third reading as amended.
Yes.
So moved, Mr. President.
So moved by Councilman
Second.
Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe to hear on third and final reading as amended. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Francisci,
No.
Hill,
No.
Winfield,
No.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
No.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Perez.
Yes, Motion passes. Any resolutions?
No.
Old business? Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the city workers that have been out there nonstop since the snowstorm came about. But they've been out there 16, 18 hours on the streets. But I want to thank the city workers and their families.
Thank you. Any old business? Hearing none, new business. Councilwoman Orange.
I make a motion that we hire John Cantrell for the city council attorney.
We have a motion. We have a motion on the floor to hire John Cantrell for the council's attorney.
Second.
Second by Councilman Hill. Do we have any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Did you make your questions?
Yeah, questions.
Yes, I have a question. I actually emailed to the entire council in regards to, I know we had set forth to allow 2 of the finalists that the committee as a whole recommended to bring before the council. So I asked that we bring all 4 candidates to for the interview process to transparency of the committee.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any other questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia.
Yes, Councilman Ransford, you can make that amendment.
It's not when there's a motion on the floor. This motion got to go, and then you can make whatever you want to make. This motion is on the floor.
I don't believe just so Mr. Garcia to comment on it, I don't believe the comments by Mr. Ransford would be appropriate for the motion on the floor by Councilwoman Orange. If, depending upon whichever way the motion goes, Mr. Ransford can make his own separate motion to bring the 4 candidates before this council for interviews.
But right now, we have the motion to hire John Cantrell.
We have a motion, and it's been properly seconded by Mr. Councilman Hill.
So that should go to a roll call vote.
Unless there's other discussion.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Can we have a vote?
Looks like she's muted herself.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Gonzalez?
Abstain.
Krasinski?
No.
Hill?
Yes.
Winfield?
Yes.
Garcia?
No.
Orange?
Yes.
Ransford?
Abstain.
Monroe?
No.
Perez?
No. Motion fails.
I like
To Mr. Ransford's point, I've already directed the council to have all 4 come back for the March 9th meeting, Mr. Ransford. That had already been done.
Could you repeat that? You said that?
I said that I had already, after your email, I instructed our attorney to go ahead and invite all 4 back.
Okay.
Okay, any more new business? Councilwoman Orange.
On that matter, I don't know how you guys picked the committee. I guess you picked it because you're president. But not to even, some of the council didn't even know that our attorney has stepped down. You guys have sent out a letter about that, saying that. everybody on this council should have been afforded a chance to present an attorney or say that we have somebody that wants to, but you guys took it upon to gather who you wanted and to turn around and then and pick the people that you guys want. And then you want to sit and talk about the mayor's office about being transparent, but you ain't even transparent with your own colleagues. Like I said, everybody should have, if I had an attorney, I would like for you guys, the committee to have looked at, I should have been afforded that. But you guys went ahead with your meeting and decided whatever you was gonna do with it.
Mr. President,
Councilman Garcia.
it's just funny how stuff was done, when Attorney Barr was brought into here, it wasn't done by committee at all. It's just funny.
Yes, it was. It was done by
I got the
committee.
floor. I got the
You
floor.
had the floor.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
No, it was not. That's all, Mr. President.
Okay, I just want to add something. First of all, any council people that did not know we were forming a committee, it's because they did not come to the executive session. Councilwoman Orange, you were in the executive session when we said we were going to form a committee and that I would pick them. We actually, by your suggestion, agreed to do two committees, one to negotiate with the mayor and the other to pick the attorney. The second one was never needed because we could never come to terms on basis. So for you to say that there's secrets, whatever, you were here in the executive session, any other council that was not, that's why they didn't know. Now, I also said that day, and I believe there's a recording, that if anyone had anyone they wanted to send up, that they could. So that's fine. We will open it again. We can always vote it down. The entire council, what this committee did was send who they thought was the finalists, and now someone is saying they want all four back. That's fine, but we'll send all four back, and all 9 of us can make a decision. No decisions get made unless the 9 of us vote for it. So, and you knew there was a committee that's a little bit disingenuous.
There, but nobody said when the committee was gonna start, who was gonna start.
It didn't have to. You were not it. Only the people on the committee needed to know.
Sure that I wasn't.
Everybody on the committee.
Sure that I wasn't.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Yeah, point of order.
It's gotta be, we can't all hear two people talk.
Okay, well, either way, we're moving forward. Any other new business? Ms. Gonzalez?
I want to make a quick announcement to the department heads. We're going into spring. If you have anything that needs to come before the council, if you need any funds, now's the time to do forecasting, to look what you did last year, what was needed, and to bring it forth to the council so there's not any delays. You just have to do forecasting. You have to talk to people who have been there for a while or do some research and bring it before the council so there's no delays.
Councilman Garcia.
I just want to reiterate, everything that was added to our packet was what we wanted, and that's excellent. Continue doing that. I have no problem with that, but it has to be part of the ordinance also. So, but that's what we were looking for, and everything that was handed in was excellent. I don't think I found one thing wrong with anything that anybody handed in, but when it comes to, it has to be part of that ordinance, not in contractual service in the ordinance. But everything that was handed in was perfect, but it's not part of the ordinance.
Any other questions?
I just like to make an announcement, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Ms. Winfield.
I just like to recognize, which we did not at the first meeting of the month, that this is Black History Month. And if you know anyone that has made history, the East Chicago Public Library is having Black Excellence on Thursday, the 25th, and we just they have a walkthrough, and it's going to be interesting. And I'm happy that someone in the city is actually recognizing Black History Month.
Thank you, Ms. Winfield. Any other questions? Hearing none, I have just one question. I would like to direct it at Ms. Orange. At the close of the last meeting, you said something to me, and I'd like to give you an opportunity to say it in public.
Did I say he was a Christian?
Nope.
What did I say?
You did say that, but you also said something else. You want me to tell you what you said?
What did I say?
You said, you know you got paybacks coming, Christian man. You deny that?
No, I don't deny that.
Okay, so you did say it on the record. Okay, here we are. Thank you very much. Let's see, you go back to public expression.
You better read the Bible, you come back on your kids or your children's children.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
Public expression,
you have
please.
public expression?
It's coming up now.
Oh, I thought you had ended the meeting. I had.
No, it's coming up now.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Henry Rodriguez.
Calling out Councilwoman Orange about something she said after a meeting 3.5 years ago. This chamber, back there. Never happened before the 26 years of attending council meetings. Councilman Perez, after they overrode a veto of the mayor's, place was crowded. He walked around glad-handed. Comes to me, sticks his hand out, and say, hey, what'd you do that to the mayor for? He says, F you. Turns around and walks away. I said, so praise the Lord, and F me. Turns around and says, F you. 2 witnesses here. 2 witnesses there. You're gonna call her out, I'm gonna call him out. Christian.
Any other public expression? Motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Franciski,
Yes.
Bell. Bell,
Give me a second.
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Rancifer,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Perez.
Yes. Adjourn.
And I said that because I didn't want to say the word he did. I didn't call the attorney truck yesterday.
All signed? Hey, so I have a question. I thought we were-